Son of a bitch.
Groovy.
Hey everybody, this is Matthew Movies commensurate with my review of Day of the Dead, the 1985 George A. Romero zombie film that most people see as an absolute classic of the genre, and personally I enjoy, but there are parts of it that I gotta say just do not work for me whatsoever, unfortunately. Now, there are parts that I absolutely adore that I think are mind-blowingly good and really, really fascinating, but the problem is the part that really does, it's really down to one thing that doesn't work for me, really takes me out of the film because it's one of the most important elements of the movie. So for those of you who haven't seen this movie, essentially it is the third in the George A. Romero Living Dead series, and personally my least favorite, the original four. And in it, the zombie apocalypse has taken place for a while, and there are a group of scientists that are working with a group of the military. They're trying to come up with an answer for it under the thumb of the military, and the head of the military at this base that they're a part of is this captain, and he, to me, is the worst part of this movie by far. I mean, I can understand why somebody might disagree with me and might find his character enjoyable because he is so ridiculously over the top, but he plays his characters in such a crazy fashion in every moment. I mean, he's just so outrageous. It takes me out of the movie. When something happens, it's not like, you know, like if he got punched in the face, like, he'd be like this. Most people would be like shocked or whatever. He'd be like it's just, he's just so over the top in everything he does. And like I said before, if you enjoy that part of him, then, you know, kudos to you, all the power to you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I understand how you could feel that way. It's just not at all how I feel. I feel like he's so ridiculous, and it takes me out of the reality. And I think part of the reason why it takes me out so much is because of what I'm looking for in a Romero zombie film. I mean, like I've said before, Dawn of the Dead is my favorite zombie film of all time. And yes, there are moments of levity in that film, but it takes itself very seriously, and it takes the concept seriously. It has very fascinating things to say about society and how the world would react in this kind of situation, and religion and life itself. Whereas in this, you have this kind of marauding madman running around and just acting in the most ridiculous way possible. It just isn't what I was looking for whatsoever. You have the female lead of this film, who's kind of like the main scientist, who I think is much, much more grounded and interesting. And she's probably the character that you come to care about the most, that you're looking to get out of the situation the most. But I also don't think she's the most fascinating of the crew, but I think she does a great job in the film. She's very interesting and relatable and a believable character, and very, very necessary to the plot, because if you didn't have someone to invest in the way you do to her, I think the movie would absolutely fall apart. The character, when I mentioned before, I don't think she's the most fascinating, and that's because there is another scientist whose storyline I think is just absolutely mind-bogglingly interesting. He's a scientist who comes to believe that the zombies are capable of being trained in order to act better, and I think is such an interesting character. He's this kind of mad scientist, but at the same time, as you're watching the film, you see that he's not wrong, but the things he does in order to get to the place he is in the movie are fairly reprehensible. He's a very interesting character because, you know, on the one side, he has some very interesting things to say, and he makes you look at the zombies in the film in a way that you hadn't in any of the previous, which is also one of the major strengths of this movie, because again, I'm looking for the more serious side. But at the same time, his moral code is definitely lacking in some of his actions, and so to me is great. And then the character that he trains, the zombie he trains, goes by the name of Bub, and throughout the entire movie he's just awesome. Whenever he shows up on screen, it's great because he definitely still acts like a zombie, but they're tapping into the human side that previously existed before he became The Walking Dead, and so that's really really cool to see. And the way that the character is written, it makes perfect sense. Where he's definitely not acting like you or I would, but he starts to kind of embrace the side and able to think more, and to see that whole thing play out is very very cool. I mean, to me, this movie comes down to, at the end of the day, I love Bub and his madman scientist, but there are moments in this movie that absolutely just stick out for me that I always think of right off the hop. And one of them, I'm not gonna put an image up because I don't want to get in any kind of trouble with YouTube, but this movie at the end is by far the most gory of any of the Romero zombie films. I mean, there are moments where people are just being like ripped asunder, and like in just gruesome detail, where like you see the person's face and like a hand comes and they get ripped apart. It's gruesome and just stunning. I remember watching it for the first time, being like, "Holy crap! Wow!" And it looks so realistic, especially for a movie that came out in 1985. It's just, they did a great job on it, and to me, it totally does work for the film, because I'm not necessarily the biggest gore hound in the world. I don't necessarily, a horror movie doesn't necessarily have to have a ton of gore for it to work for me, but for this movie, I think it definitely works because it underlines the actual fearsomeness of their situation, and I think is stellar. And then two individual moments more than anything else. There's a moment early on where a character is dreaming, and all of a sudden a bunch of zombie hands come out of a wall. That's just like, it's a jump scare, but it's earned, and the visual is amazing and just so cool and unforgettable. It sticks to it's one of the major things that stick in my mind whenever I think of this film. And then the other is the opening sequence, where you have there's the main scientist woman and a gentleman. They're flying around in a helicopter. They touch down and they're looking for survivors, and they call out for survivors. And at first it just looks like an abandoned city town, and then all of a sudden, city street, I should say, and then all of a sudden, the noise they're making, they start to have the zombies come forth to try to get to them, because they've been attracted by the noise and realize that there's somebody to eat, and there's even an alligator there, or a crocodile. I can never remember the difference between the two, but there's one of those there. It's just such a cool moment to see them come out of the woodwork, and the believable makeup that they did on the zombies. It's just absolutely great. Those are my favorite moments of this film by far, and those are my thoughts of the film on a whole. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. What you think about the captain, the main army guy. If you like his performance, or like me, thought it was very hammy. Whatever. Other than that, please hit that like button, hit that share button. It makes it much more likely that other people come check out this video and let me know what they think, which would be awesome, because I love talking movies with people. And if you are new here, or you just haven't done it yet, please hit subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you can let me know what you think of my future videos, which would be absolutely awesome. And other than those things, have yourself a good day.